"You're embarrassing me." She said it without looking at me. Her hand was already on his shoulder. Slow. Familiar. The kind of touch that assumes permission. The kind that no longer asks. The company retreat was loud in the way wealth pretends to be relaxed. Glass walls. Polished wood. Laughter that echoed too long because nobody wanted silence to notice them. I stood there with a drink I hadn't tasted, watching my wife lean into another man like gravity had reassigned itself. I felt something shift. Not break. A line. I nodded. That was the moment she frowned. Not at what she'd done, but at my lack of reaction. I turned and walked away. The air outside was cold and clean, mercifully empty of conversation. I reached my car when footsteps hurried behind me. "Sir, please." Her boss. Up close, he looked smaller. His face had gone pale in the way people do when they recognize a mistake too late. "I just realized who you are," he said, voice shaking. "From the board meeting last quarter. Does she know who you?" I opened my car door. "If you're uncomfortable," I said quietly, "you should go back inside." I drove away before he could finish the thought that was choking him. My phone rang before I hit the main road. Unknown number. "If you want to join Thanksgiving," my daughter-in-law shouted over the noise of plates and laughter, "come wash the dishes." I watched the road stretch forward, empty and obedient. "Enjoy," I said. Then I ended the call and turned the phone face down. Betrayal doesn't arrive like a storm. It seeps. It shows up as small edits to reality. Pauses where answers used to be. Smiles that don't include you. My wife had been editing me out for a while. I just hadn't demanded the final cut. She stopped asking when I'd be home. Stopped complaining when I wasn't. She started dressing differently, carefully casual, like effort disguised as ease. She used my boss as if it were a shared joke I wasn't meant to understand. At night, she slept with her back to me. During the day, she glowed elsewhere. I didn't confront her. Confrontation is for people who need confirmation. I already felt it settling in my chest, heavy, cold, exact. Even my son had changed. His calls had become transactional. Concern wrapped around requests. My daughter-in-law spoke to me with a brightness that assumed compliance. She'd learned quickly what kindness looks like when it's mistaken for obligation. Shock flickered once. Brief. Almost insulting. Denial didn't bother showing up. Instead, I felt clarity. The kind that arrives when all the background noise finally shuts off. I started paying attention. I am not impulsive. I collect. Phone records are obedient things. They don't lie. Calendars tell the truth when people don't. Money leaves footprints even when it thinks it's wearing gloves. I didn't hire anyone. I didn't need to. I knew where to look because I'd built most of it myself. Late-night calls between my wife and her boss. Messages that erased themselves but not their timestamps. Meetings that ran long only when hotels were nearby. Expense approvals that bypassed protocols I'd written years ago. At home, I remained predictable. I asked about her day. I ate dinner. I smiled at the right moments. Inside, something sharpened. My daughter-in-law called again. She talked about family expectations. About future arrangements. My son stayed quiet on the line, his silence doing the work of agreement. I booked a flight instead. Switzerland. The villa had been there for years. Hidden behind a holding company, no one bothered to trace. I'd never mentioned it because I never needed applause. I posted one photograph. Snow. Glass. Firelight. Distance. That was enough. My phone started ringing. Once. Twice. Then, relentlessly. 71 missed calls by the end of the night. I let it ring. Silence is an excellent teacher. The report arrived on a Tuesday morning. Clean. Indexed. Unarguable. I placed it on the kitchen counter while my wife poured wine, humming to herself. Her hand froze mid-pour when she saw the letterhead. "What's that?" she asked. "Read it." She smiled nervously at first, like this was some misunderstanding she could charm away. Then her eyes moved faster. Her breathing changed. The color drained from her face in stages, like lights shutting off in an empty building. "No," she whispered. Then louder. "This isn't what it looks like." I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I waited. Her phone buzzed. His name. Again. And again. I picked it up and answered. "You should resign before morning," I said calmly. "The board already knows." There was a long silence. Then a sound like someone swallowing glass. "He resigned that night." She slid down into a chair, hands shaking, eyes wet and unfocused. She looked at me like I was a stranger. In a way, I was. Thanksgiving came. I didn't. Instead, envelopes arrived. To my son. To my daughter-in-law. Thick paper. No explanations. Inside were photographs. The Swiss villa. The lake. The view from the terrace at dawn. Copies of deeds. Keys sealed in velvet sleeves. My phone rang within minutes. Screaming. Accusations. Panic, trying to pass itself off as outrage. "You let us think you were." "I let you assume," I said. "That's not deception. That's efficiency." My wife packed slowly. Carefully. She didn't beg. She negotiated. Asked about timing. About appearances. I declined. There was nothing left to discuss. I left without speeches. Without witnesses. Power doesn't shout. It withdraws. Snow fell quietly in Switzerland. The villa was still. Honest. The kind of silence that doesn't judge you for needing it. I felt no triumph. No sadness. Only precision. Betrayal clarified everything. Silence refined it. I no longer confuse proximity with loyalty, or blood with entitlement, or love with access. My phone is quiet now. So am I. And the people who mistook my patience for permission will spend the rest of their lives remembering the moment they touched something that was never theirs.